Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rich here, the RH Bull, and thank you so much for spending your time with me. We're going to jump right into the charts, but before we do, I just have one question for everybody out there. Are we sick and tired yet of being perpetually wrecked? I'm not going to lie, I am a little bit, but that feeling that you get at this point in the market, we could call those bottom vibes. At this point, you got to stay strong and you got to stay long. And hey, if you can, even buy a little more. Not financial advice. But what I'm going to do right now is jump into the charts and maybe I can give you some future advice on where I think this thing is headed. Y'all ready for this? Let's go. Boo! What is going on, party people? Thanks for being here. This is the RH Bull. My name is Rich, and we're going to jump right into some charts without further ado. Let me open this up a little bit. All right, let's get it. All right, so what we're looking at here right now is the weekly, Pulse Chain Weekly. Let me take a look at the RSI. RSI is definitely low. We have a lot of room to move up, which is a wonderful thing. We're going to take a look at the chart itself now. We'll take a look at the candles on the weekly. Let's zoom into what's going on in the more immediate. There's no doubt, there's no secret that with the recent FUD of the SEC, quote, serving Richard Hart, which I don't understand why it matters so much, but regardless, we did see a dump throughout the day yesterday. We're all about the silver linings here on the RH Bull channel, and the silver lining at this point, knock on wood, is the fact that what we painted right here was not a lower low. As a matter of fact, let me just do this. What we're looking at here is a low of 404588, and the prior week, which was the low prior to that, 404518. So since then, we've ticked up 4049 over the last day or so. But as we like to talk about sometimes on this channel, breaking structure is what will create a mess and force the chart itself to break down. We got close, we got rocked a little bit, and we're probably feeling a decent amount of FUD, but we did not break structure. So as far as sound fundamentals go, this chart is still intact. We are just bouncing along the bottom of this humongous symmetrical triangle. And would I like to see some relief? Yes, but I said it on the last stream and I'll say it again. We need to wait for the end of the month / beginning of the new year to really get an answer on where this market's going. If we see a lower low between now and the end of the year, I don't want to say it's curtains, but it's not going to be beautiful, right? We're going to then want to retest the lows of the end of August, which, just a reminder, was 4037. That's not good. So we have to make a stand here, okay? Let's move on to the 3-day and take a look at some of the indicators that we have. RSI on the 3-day is kind of mid-range, healthy, right? You can go either up or down. MACD is red, and it's kind of a heavy red. The signal line and the MACD line do have some space apart, but these things can close up kind of fast. I'm not too worried about it. Let's take a look at the chart itself. Once again, you see on the 3-day with a little more clarity, We did tick down once again to test just about where the super trend is, the 3-day super trend. Did not breach the low of the previous 3 days, so 9 days ago. And we are seeing some relief. We do have a hammer forming here. Typically a bullish reversal formation. But we didn't see any follow through, but that's why the 3-day is what it is. It's the 3-day. It's not the most information of the time frames that you could throw out there. Like, I'd much rather go off a weekly or a monthly, but you know what we have is a 3-day and a weekly. Not much data on the monthly yet. Let's take a look at the monthly actually, since we're right here. We're inside of the triangle. If we tick over to the next month, if we were to do that today, I could say maybe we could retest the outside of this triangle. And then if we could start making some higher lows and higher highs, we'd be in the money. Let's take a quick look at Plsx. Taking a quick look at Plsx. Same kind of deal. We did not break, although it did take more of a hit than Pulse did. We are on the weekly, guys. It did not take as much of a hit. Actually, let me rewind. It took more of a hit than Pulse Chain did, but it did not breach the previous week's lows. So once again, structure is still pretty solid. It's not the prettiest, but it's pretty solid. It's solid enough to not break structure and break down. Let's move to the 3-day. We'll fly through this. One thing that's got me a little kind of not too happy. So there's a silver lining here. We did break the lows of the previous 3-day. Once again, this is the 3-day. So the data on the 3-day, there's a lot of fake outs that can occur. We're not going to be married to the 3-day data. Okay? We'll take a look at the indicators first, and I'll jump right back into what I was saying about the candles. We do have 4 consecutive red MACD flags here. And the MACD and the signal line are kind of far apart, but we're kind of near the midline, so it's not the end of the world. These things could turn over quick. RSI is healthy. Taking a look at the candles, we did not breach the candle from the previous low. That was the line to hold. But the fact that we broke the previous 3-day candle, it's a little sketch, but from a weekly purview, this is all that matters. We're a higher low. Just by a tick, but we're a higher low. Let's talk about how much of a tick. This low was 4 zeros, 11.98. This low was 4 zeros, 12.14. I mean, we did find relief now. We're 4 zeros, 13.57. We just got to keep moving up. We got to paint a green. It's been 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 days since a green 3-day candle. I mean, that's harmful, guys, to all of us in Plsx. I'm going to now switch over to a little Plsx to pulse ratio and see where that's looking. I don't know why I'm on the line chart, but we're about to fix that. I'll just take it from the 3-day here, kids. We did see a little relief. We got a lower low here. The structure is completely broken down, but as an overall structure, we haven't broken down overall. So we have until 0.24 area until this breaks down. But right now we're looking pretty strong-ish. We are out of this channel. I could probably erase this channel at this point, but I feel like we might come back and retest the top of it at some point, especially if that retest, if there's confluence with the previous top, which is 0.3275 or 0.33. But right now we found a little relief. We had a huge dump last week, and we're kind of playing in that range where Plsx is a little cheap, not quite neutral. I'd call that neutral between the 0.3 and the 0.4 or the 0.35, around this area. That's more neutral. I had said in my last video that my choice for the next favorite RH midterm hold which is 3 to 6 months, would be Plsx. I feel like we can leverage some of our RH tokens into Plsx and obtain more of those RH tokens playing the Plsx ratio. Let's take a look at Plsx and Hex real quick. This is it's with Pulse. All right, so this is the Hex chart, and when I say Hex, this is not e-Hex, this is Hex on Pulse Chain. If you take a look at this, we're all kind of following similar suit, right? Symmetrical triangle. At the bottom of that symmetrical triangle, this one also ticked up. We are above that current bottom of the triangle line, and we did not breach the previous week's low. But why I'm on this chart is not necessarily to talk about Hex, but the Plsx to Hex ratio. And in here we are mid-range. Okay, anything in this black space here, I'm not touching anything. The moment we go up here, Hex is hot, it's time to swap Hex for Plsx. When we're down here in this range, Hex is cheap. And I would say Plsx is too hot, and we would swap some of our Plsx for Hex. But right now, this is the no-go zone. So we're in the no-go zone with Hex. Let's take a look at e-Hex. e-Hex is, what I'm kind of drawing here is something, I think we're at a turn, e-Hex to the US dollar. If we could continue to stay at the bottom of this parallel channel here, then maybe we could find some relief. And I think this candle right here that I'm pointing out with my little finger was the turning point, this candle to this candle, and we may be making a different trend line. Hopefully. Time will tell, right guys? But we'll see. Let's see what's happening with the Plsx to e-Hex ratio. Once again, as far as I'm concerned, this is another no-go zone. Once it comes down here where it's roughly 170 Plsx to 260 Plsx to buy one e-Hex, that's where I'd be looking to swap some of my Plsx into e-Hex. But right now at 343 Plsx is to an e-Hex, kind of mid-range for me, not worth the R&R. However, let me show you something. If we were able to get up to here, which is launch day, that is the unicorn zone, Plsx would be extremely cheap, and if you had a bag of e-Hex at this point, you'd be able to get yourself 800 from the bottom of this range to 3,000 Plsx, which is absolutely incredible, and we'll probably never see that again. But all in all, my bottom line thesis as we go back to the Pulse Chain chart and wrap up here, my bottom line thesis, we'll wait for the chart to load, would be, are we wrecked? Hell yeah, we're wrecked. We've been wrecked. We've been wrecked since late May, essentially, early June, okay? We know the feeling. We've built callous in our spirits. We're so wrecked, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. And as a bull with bull bias, always going to lean in that direction. Just saying, it is the RH bull. We're here to be a little bullish on this ecosystem. Right now, there's reason to have a little bit of optimism because we never breached last week's low. And structurally, we're still looking good. So with that said, everybody, thank you so much for watching today's episode. This is the RH Bull channel. My name is Rich, here for you to throw out some charts every day, every couple of days. Like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you so much for your time. Peace.